You are tuned in to the Strobang Show. As usual, I'm your boy Rated R. We got my dog, Rowdy Ray.
What's happening?
We got Champagne Schroeder, or Papa Schroeder.
Yup.
We got EDJ.
What's going on?
Alright, so you already know by the thumbnail what we're going to get into today. We got number 10, my man, a righteous man of God, Tyreek Hill.
Yup.
We got to talk about it.
We gotta talk about it.
No suspension.
No suspension.
No suspension.
You fucking Patriots fans and anybody else that's been talking about suspensions for my dog Tyreek, eat shit.
Bro, relax.
No.
Relax.
No.
No suspension.
No suspension.
Ravens
Defensive
got the
coordinator's
Rodgers
worst
over here.
nightmare is about to be on the field. Go ahead, EDJ. Hit him with bars.
Are you going to spell relax for us, Aaron Rodgers?
I just might.
Are you nervous yet?
Nah.
A little bit?
Nah.
Chiefs fans, it's time to be litty in Kansas City.
Man.
We got the most dynamic, the most explosive wide receiver back on the field. No suspensions with the best, to pair with the best quarterback in the league.
Yes, sir.
Super Bowl.
So, with that being said, let's kind of get into it. How does everybody feel about no suspension for Tyreek?
I mean, there's no criminal charges. There's no, hard, tangible evidence of him personally committing child abuse or what have you. So I don't think there's necessarily grounds for suspension. I mean, if we're just going to go off of the actual facts, you know what I'm saying? I can speculate till the cows come home, but just saying he did it just because it sound good and,
Right.
he has a record. And going off of the video, she did not explicitly say that he actually hit her. He kept asking her to say it, and she didn't. She kept going around it, because if he actually did, I feel like she would have aired him out right then and there. That's what she was trying to do.
Oh, yeah.
She would have aired him out. Yeah, you beat the shit out of me. Da, da, da. No, but why is this child scared of you? Nah, did I hit you? And she just kept, deflecting it.
Tried to go around it.
Now, going off of the video, his child rearing methods may be outdated.
Yep.
Yeah, less very archaic at this point. In this day and age, that shit don't fly no more. But just to straight up say he's a child abuser and a woman beater,
Might be looking like a little bit of a stretch now.
yeah. I mean, even though it's his fault for pleading guilty to the charges.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But you know what? I think that this may come off a little silly, but I think that shows a little bit of character. Because if you know you can't beat shit like that, what's the point in... I get you shouldn't plead guilty, and I wouldn't want to plead guilty to anything that I'm innocent of.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a young man in college getting accused of some shit like that's kind of high profile, you're not outrunning that. That's not happening.
Let's be real. I mean, you know the pressure that gets put on you when you're in those situations.
Mm-hmm.
People telling you to plead guilty, it's going to be
Exactly.
over quick.
And he probably, at that point in time, he probably actually couldn't afford a decent lawyer.
Right.
And he salvaged his career out of that.
Yeah.
Rather than, he probably could have fought it and...
Because we know how bad public defenders are. They would, 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you to plead the case. Because they done already worked out a deal with the prosecutor.
Exactly, yep.
It's that
What
bullshit.
Meek say? He said go to court with a court appointed. He won't say he object. shit deep, bro. But the first part of my answer, I would say, I agree with Ray. I mean, you can't suspend him any games. There's no evidence suggesting that he abused the child. And like Ray said, it's looking like there's been lies told as far as his 2014 case as well. And honestly, bro, I don't like to call for people's jobs, but somebody from KCTV5 needs to be held accountable for that audio, because the first version of the audio that we heard was clearly edited and intended for him to look very bad. Somebody needs to be held accountable.
And it sent, everything into a whirlwind of just, a shit going downhill, man, because it sent everything with that first audio recording that they edited up.
Yeah.
It got the ball rolling.
Because the main thing people were saying was, oh, he's not denying beating his kid
Right.
and what have you. It just looked really bad. It looked like there was negligence going on. It just looked terrible.
Even though I will say there is some negligence between both parents, because how did the child break his arm and nobody knows how the child had his arm broken?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's why he's in custody of Johnson County at the end of the day. All jokes aside with the righteous man of God shit, that's just, we just talking shit. But clearly both parents have shown just the inability to really kind of control the situation and step up and be good parents to that kid, or the best parents they could be for that kid, because for nobody to know what happened to his arm is just. But I'm not, we're not on here to be judges of people's
character
or parenthood. So
yeah,
we just
and like we said when we talked about it before, just because I don't think any of us here believe that he should have been suspended, but that doesn't mean that we think that he's the greatest person in the world.
Facts.
You know.
And you were talking about that tape that they released to was KCTV5 and probably everyone, but I think KCTV5 broke it first. I mean, at some point you had to believe somebody edited it before they handed it to him. I feel like coming from that
before they handed
it to him. Probably.
No, KCTV5 knew exactly what was going on. They came out and said that they held certain parts of the audio back on purpose. But they said it was just for they said it was for some good reason. I forgot what they exactly said.
Well, probably to protect someone's identity at some point.
Time constraints, things of that nature.
Yeah.
I'll probably say too.
Right, but I mean, at the end of the day, this happens a lot. I think a lot of different news medias try to edit things to make people more interested in what's going on.
That's a fact.
And just to see what's going on. I mean, we see it everywhere. I mean, we make a joke of fake news because of how it's being said and what has been done, but it's really true though. I mean, there's still a lot of quote unquote fake news out there.
Shit, what news is real? If we being for real,
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And I mean, we live in the 7th highest murder rate city. I mean, I think something like that. But I mean, you hear things every day that are stretched or not told the truth just simply because of statistics, or things of like that. So for them to change the story, I don't think anyone's going to get fired, because who knows how many times people over there had changed stories just to make more interesting.
That's a good point.
So
And I think any news outlet, they kind of, whatever story it is, they want it to be their story. You know what I'm saying? They want their story told rather than what the actual story is. And that kind of goes back to the old saying of there's 3 sides to every story.
yeah.
And to me, it just seems like KCTV5 was so thirsty to be a part of national news and a part of a national story.
Yeah, bro. You know how many clicks they got?
Oh,
how much
fuck
buzz
yeah.
they got off of that? An insane amount. And on some real, all those people who just jumped out the window to just kind of pile on Tyreek Hill and was like, oh, he's trash and da da da. The only part of the audio that got me specifically is when he told her, "Bitch, you should be terrified of me too." Yo.
Yeah, that was out of pocket.
That was really out of pocket. But the fact that everybody was just like, he's trash. He sounded villainous.
Motherfuckers was burning their jerseys, they was throwing them away.
Oh yeah.
It was out of pocket,
man.
dog. It was very out of pocket. Wrong to say. You shouldn't say it. I'm going to just be on some real shit, bro. If she actually lied about the 2014 case, I get it.
What do you mean?
If she lied about the 2014 case in which that he put his hands on her, I get it, bro. I'm not saying that he needs to put his hands on her, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that type of animosity towards her, you're going to resent her, is what I'm saying.
Fuck yeah.
I'm not saying you should say, bitch, you should be terrified of me, and you definitely shouldn't put your hands on her. Now that I won't condone at all, but I'm saying there's going to be a level of animosity there. And I would just question why he would be there in the first place.
Yeah.
Still, so, but
Yeah.
I just to be real, I would kind of get that animosity.
And at this point, I don't know if we've said it on the air here yet. We've said it plenty of times off the air. Leave her. Leave her behind.
Yes. Go for just joint custody. Figure it out and get out of Dodge, bro. It's not working for you. It's just constantly some shit with y'all together. Like, y'all don't click.
And at this point, man, if some shit like this happens again and he's still with her,
He's
like,
out of here.
Yeah.
No,
one, he's out of here, and two, your fault.
Yeah.
Fool
every
me
time
once.
it's his fault. Every time it's his
Bro.
fault. Because it did. I'm sorry. I still kind of got to laugh at the video. I'm going to say this for everybody. This is a general statement. Stop going through your partner's phones. Stop. Just stop. It's not worth it. Because what you find in there, you ain't trying to see.
That's facts.
Everybody, just stop it. Stop looking through your partner's phones. There's nothing in there. The only thing it's going to do is just make you more mad. If you even think you need to go through that person's phone, go ahead, cut it off. Cut that shit off. Like an infected leg. Cut that bitch off.
Cut that bitch off.
A late-ass light bill. Cut that shit off.
You had a bad experience with that, Ray?
Yeah. This is personal experiences. You know what I'm saying?
I could tell.
Don't air me out though. But
Learn from Ray.
yeah, learn from Ray. Don't be Ray. Learn from Ray.
Yeah, Ray here spreading knowledge.
Dropping
Like,
gems.
get right with Ray.
Hey,
I had
man.
to sprinkle a little bit on it. You know what I'm saying?
I feel it.
Sprinkle me, man.
So with Tyreek Hill being back in the fold, obviously pairing him back with one of the best quarterbacks in the league. What do you guys see Patrick Mahomes' outlook for next season being?
Well, I mean, it's going to be fairly similar. I don't think he gets to 50 again. I think the league will learn up a little too much on him. I think it'll be closer to 4,400 instead of closer to 5,000. I
Think a 600-yard drop off?
I don't think he gets there. I think he gets about 4,500, which is still fantastic. But I think a lot of people are going to wise up on him. In week 1, he plays Jacksonville. I mean, that's an elite defense. I mean, they're not a great team, but the defense is great. And that's just a good start for to see that. I think that's a good start to see how he does.
Yeah, I feel it.
That's probably the best start he could have to come off an MVP season, because a lot of people are going to be looking towards that game.
It's a good
to
test.
And
it's on the road.
Exactly. To kind of mirror how his season goes. But, I mean, to have Tyreek Hill back fully and officially, they drafted... I always forget his name.
Mecole Hardman.
Mecole Hardman. I mean, that's a deadly duo by itself. And you add Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins in that mix. I mean, the wide receiver core literally just 2 years ago was completely shifted in Kansas City. Now it's one of the better ones. I mean, and it's just a deadly. Don't.
No, he's
saying.
That's my ass there.
I saw that corner of my eye.
A little self-conscious, ain't you?
Hey, he's just
he
waiting.
ain't got no faith in y'all offense. Fake fan.
No, but I'm with EDJ, man. To come from a wide receiving core where we struggled to get a touchdown for a season from a wide receiver.
We didn't get one for a
we didn't
season.
get one.
Yeah, we didn't get a. So to go from that and to have Sammy Watkins, to have Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, DeMarcus Robinson, and our tight end Travis Kelce. Yeah, I mean, like, our receiving core is ridiculous, and to couple that with the additions that we got on defense, I mean, our outlook should it should be Super Bowl or bust, honestly.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
at least get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think when you really break down the field and break down the Chiefs' offense, I mean, there's really no spot on the field where the Chiefs are,
Completely deficient.
right. Not, you know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, 10 yards and in, I mean, that's Kelce all day. You look 10 to 20 yards, you got Sammy Watkins. And then deep down the field, now you got Tyreek and Hardman.
Yes, sir.
And even if Mecole Hardman doesn't, translate well,
Right.
at least he's a fast receiver that can get down the field quick, and that's going to take somebody off.
Yeah.
You
got to put a body on that
inside. Exactly, because at the end of the day, he runs 50 yards down the field. Mahomes can hit him
How often y'all think defense is gonna have to run a dime package on y'all?
the whole fucking game. And you know what that leaves open? Carlos Hyde and Damian
I was
Williams.
just about to say
wide
that.
open, just hand the ball off.
Cause you just use Carlos Hyde on the first downs, Damian Williams on passing downs. It's lit.
And as much as I hate to prove that stigma right of your running back doesn't matter, the Chiefs are going to prove that this year. They can throw almost anyone in there. I think that'll have some success.
The whole league's been proving that, man.
I mean, that's true.
You know, when you see who the Steelers threw in, and I think the
James
Broncos,
Conner,
and
Philip Lindsay in Denver,
undrafted,
yeah,
and put
but
up
at the
almost
same
elite
time,
production.
at the same time though, that
No, but you like the game breakers are
Right.
noted. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it just sucks for those guys that are just like right below that elite level. You know what I'm saying? The Devontae Freemans, the Melvin Gordons, like they're just right there. They're like almost eye level with elite, but just not elite.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I would say my official Patrick Mahomes outlook. I'm kind of somewhere between EDJ and what Patrick Mahomes actually did last season. I think he's going to get somewhere like 4,700 yards, around 45 to 50 touchdowns. And I think the picks,
They're going to have to go up.
they might be up a little bit just because of our receiving core. I think he's going to try to be a little bit more aggressive sometimes. Hopefully he dials back a little bit in terms of that and just kind of be a little bit more careful with the ball. But
I think because of that though, we're gonna see equal to maybe. It's hard to say greater than what he did last year,
I can't
right?
say greater than. Yeah.
But at the same time, when we start looking at this offense, man, I don't know.
you think you go 5,000,
I think
a
he go
little bit
50.
more?
Yeah, I think he go 50 and 5,000 again. I don't think that's a stretch or
It's not a stretch.
An insane feat with this offense.
It's not a stretch. I think we're kind of factoring in like a sophomore slump.
Right,
Even though this
right.
is his third year, but it's his second year of starting. So I think we're trying to factor in a little sophomore slump.
Like you just always have to leave room for regression. You always do. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
true.
Like when somebody just gives you a phenomenal performance, you got to be ready for that regression. You know what I'm saying? But he can replicate it, and if not, go farther. You know what I'm saying?
And you have to be aware that defensive coordinators are putting packages together specifically for Patrick Mahomes and that
That's
Kansas
true.
City offense.
That too.
Well, the scarier thing is, I mean, you've seen him play the zone. He picks apart the zone. I mean, you can't play man because that's too easy for him. So, like you said, you have to use the dime. You have to use, group packages just to get him unfocused from it. But him rolling out is just as good as him in the pocket. That's the scarier thing.
And he can throw with his left hand.
Exactly. Well, not very well, but that's really frustrating if you're a defensive coordinator because you're getting a guy that has just as high a percentage outside of the pocket as inside of the pocket, and you can't run 90% of your defense because you've got him and the Chiefs' offensive line is way better than it was years ago. I know a lot of people say because of Patrick Mahomes' athleticism, and it could be, but at the same time, it's better. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot better. I know Mitch Morse is gone, so that'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But all in all, I mean, this has the beginnings of a dynasty. I think last year was kind of the tip of the cap to the start of an era, but I think we're about to see the start this year.
Well, and like we've said, I mean, it reminds you a lot of the 2014 Royals, that went to the World Series, lost, and came back the next year and won the World Series. And I think this is a lot more manageable to stay afloat, and baseball and football are a lot different in regards to free agency and, keeping and letting players go. But, yeah, I think you're right. I think this has all of the makings to be a dynasty team. And, if you look at Andy Reid, we said that all year last year this was the perfect team for him, right? And adding McCole Hardman and with Tyreek still being in there, you still got Kelsey. The offensive line is improving, like you said. You had Carlos Hyde. I mean, I think this is an even better team than last year for Andy Reid to work with, in the things that he wants to do. He's got another gadget player that's very fast and, can do a lot of things on the field. So It's tough for me to see too much regression with Mahomes, and honestly, like I think he stays around the same or possibly better. But I mean, obviously, like we've said, these numbers are going to be hard to reproduce.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like with the new weapons added, I think that it's possible, and it depends on how the running game does. But I think the running game is going to be really good, and that's going to help Mahomes so much, just as it did last year. But then on top of that, he's got 16 games of starting experience from last year.
Right, and I mean, Damian Williams proved a lot last year.
Mm-hmm. And postseason experience.
And postseason, too, yeah. I think a lot of people were worried once Spencer Ware went out again.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people thought that he was going to be the guy that, carried the team. And he's a great running back, but he just can't stay healthy. And that seems to be the sad story of Chiefs running backs. Great running backs that can't stay healthy, or in some cases just can't stay out of trouble. Which is, again, unfortunate. But hopefully, Damian Williams stays the course or stays healthy. We'll put it that way.
I think he
continues his career.
I think he knocks that little standard of Chiefs running backs because he's not on that, like, elite level. You look at all those running backs that kind of fell to things like that. Because the three names that come to my mind when you said injuries and trouble, Priest Holmes, Larry Johnson, Kareem Hunt, all elite talents.
Well, Larry Johnson came to my mind twice.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Larry Johnson is probably the biggest one out of those three.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Kareem Hunt had that issue, but that's, a whole story of questions. But Larry Johnson is probably the biggest one out of those three. I mean, Priest Holmes was older anyway when he came here. Not super old, but older in his career.
Yeah.
And I think, his injuries were just in time with his career. But Larry,
and shit, they were neck injuries,
yeah, that too. Yeah. And Larry Johnson I don't know what his deal was.
Man, he got paid and he didn't want to get hit no more.
He quit.
Yeah.
And I think he went to Cincinnati after that, something like that.
Something like that.
And then the Chiefs had to play them in the middle of the year or something like that, and he got lit up every single run. And it was hilarious to see. But
no, I think it was Miami. The Dolphins.
Was it Miami?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a sad part of that.
So everybody thinks Patrick Mahomes have a pretty solid year next year.
Oh yeah. Damn near MVP caliber.
Yep.
Like, if not MVP caliber. I mean, this is what we're gonna come to expect. If we get anything less than that, it'll be a shock.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And with Tyreek Hill back, that should make things a lot easier for the Kansas City Chiefs. And we just looking forward to see what happens.
NBA free agency has come to an end, and come to an end sadly. I mean, look at this wild NBA free agency. It's completely changed the landscape of the NBA. I mean, you got Kyrie and KD playing together in Brooklyn, Paul George and Kawhi finally with the Clippers, and the Lakers with Anthony Davis trade, Chris Paul getting traded to Houston Oklahoma City to Houston from Houston for Russell Westbrook, and Westbrook and Harden will play together. Smaller note, Jimmy Butler in Miami now, and just kind of the smaller ones that are still big deals too. So I mean, this is crazy. I don't think this will ever happen again. But what do you guys think about all this?
Who would have ever thought a man with cornrows and no emotion will restore balance in the NBA?
I can't wait for the 30 for 30.
Like, this shit has been beautiful, bro. I mean, every team is, kind of going back to that style where, it's 2 stars, and then you have to be challenged with that task of filling out your team the best way in order to have a chance for a championship. And I think now we're going to get a chance to see who's actually the best in the league. You're not going to have this, thing where it's super teams and you're just going to be beating up on everybody all year. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see that. I will say, as far as the Lakers moves, I didn't think they did bad. No. I actually thought they did really good.
Yeah, I mean, their bench got better, and that was the biggest part for me. I mean, you traded away half your roster, so what are you going to do with the space you have left? So yeah, they filled their bench pretty well.
And I think one of the things you have to consider is they waited so long in free agency to try to pick up Kawhi Leonard that they missed out on a lot of key free agents that would have cost, a lot of money and been valuable assets to the team. And there's, like Levi said before we started recording, there's, been reports of the Lakers feeling played by Kawhi, and I think that was definitely chess, not checkers, from my man Convo Kawhi.
Yeah, he it was a great play by Kawhi because he let the stories come out of him and KD talking about playing together,
Right.
and he let everything that possibly could came out to get people's imaginations going. But he knew where he was going. You don't. There's no way he didn't know where he was going.
And that's the best representation of just shutting up and handling your business. Let everybody else talk, whatever. And then he just handled his business with Uncle Dennis.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see the dynamic between Clippers versus Lakers.
It's going to be beautiful.
Man.
It's going to be beautiful because a lot of people feel like Kawhi is gaining on LeBron, as far as best player in the league. And to pair Kawhi with somebody as dynamic as Paul George is just phenomenal, bro, because Paul George is not that guy. You can't have him be the best guy on your team and expect to win a championship. But when you pair him with somebody that's already won 2 championships, 2 final MVPs, then you pair him with the team that has just defensive talent all across the board. And Patrick Beverly, Montrezl Harrell, and you got somebody coming off the bench and Lou Williams that's just going to give you buckets on buckets on buckets. It's going to be amazing to see.
When you said that, do you feel like Paul George is Scottie Pippen-esque?
Yes. He's better Scottie.
Yeah.
From an offensive standpoint. Defense, obviously, Scottie got him in the bag. But, he's just a more dynamic offensive player than Scottie Pippen. But I see that for sure.
That makes me think of something. Will there ever be another team that was just like as fucking cool as the Bulls in the 90s?
There'll never be another team that has the media on their side like the Bulls.
Yeah.
Jordan was a media darling, bro.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Because you ever notice you didn't hear much of the bad stories until after, after his career was over?
And it's definitely a different time and age where, shit like that was more covered up and everybody wasn't just out in the light 24/7.
And then, if bad stories came out, you could just write it off as tabloids. You remember tabloids used to be a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, because, the whole competition thing, I bet I can get more bitches than Scottie Pippen. And, he literally was dirty macking to Madonna out of all women about Scottie Pippen. Not my GOAT.
Not my GOAT.
I'm joking.
No, but not to get off track, but with that era, Jordan had to save the league.
Yeah.
Jordan had to save the league because you're coming into an era post Larry Bird and Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
So he has to come and save the league. You can't tarnish, his name.
And he really didn't have anybody, he didn't have a Larry Bird. You know what I'm saying?
No true rival.
Right.
And I think that's just because of his talent.
Yeah, I mean, that's very true.
He had a series of quote-unquote rivals. Because you remember when they tried to play it up with Clyde Drexler?
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't it.
You know what I'm saying? The closest thing he had to a rivalry was 2, with the Pistons and the Jazz.
Yeah.
Those are the closest things he had to the rivalries. 2 rivalries.
Yeah, because the Jazz then, that was just a really solid fucking team all together. But yeah, I just thought of that just because, just Pippen and Jordan, and after winning the finals and the cigars and all that shit, Rodman, it was a cool ass team.
Then you have Space Jam to cap it off, bro. It was just amazing. But, kind of to get back to free agency, like EDJ said, Miami got Jimmy Butler in a trade. They had to ship off Josh Richardson to the 76ers. And I think both teams won. The Heat's been got the star that they were looking for, a leader, an alpha to kind of galvanize the young guys. And, I think the 76ers just got more balance. You signed Tobias Harris back. He's coming back, and he's an offensive threat. You got Josh Richardson coming there. I mean, who's filling in for J.J. Redick. And J.J. Redick, great player, but defensive liability. And you cannot say that at all about Josh Richardson, who also brings solid 3-point shooting as well. So
And talking about that, was that the Atlantic Division that the Sixers are in? The Bucks are the Bucks in the same division or no? But the Bucks signed Kyle Korver.
Yeah, they just did that recently.
Mm-hmm. And then with the Celtics with Kemba Walker, that deal.
And with the Bucks, man, they lost Brogdon. That's big for them.
Where'd Brogdon go?
Brogdon went to the Pacers.
Word.
And that's gonna be nice to see Brogdon and Victor Oladipo running together.
That's a good combo.
Huh?
That's a good combo.
Yeah, for sure. Brogdon he's very skilled young player. So that's gonna be nice to see. And Milwaukee signed a bulk of their main guys back. Brook Lopez and Middleton. They signed him back, even though it was for an absorbent amount of money. Jesus Christ, it was for an absorbent amount of money. We already know the Knicks missed out on everybody. But I will say this. I'm glad they didn't go out and give somebody that didn't deserve it a max. You know, I'm glad they didn't go out and give, I don't know, a Tobias Harris or somebody like that, just, you know, an absorbent amount of money, because that would have fucked them for the free agencies and whatever coming up a couple years from now.
One thing that I think is the most interesting, and I think I just don't understand, but the fact that the Brooklyn Nets signed KD, it kind of trips me out that you're signing a guy, and also how this works, because I'm not 100% sure. I mean, what are they paying him while he's hurt? Because he's not going to play for them for a whole season.
At least $30 million.
That's insane. That's insane to me that you would pay
KD?
somebody and agree to pay that money when he's literally not going to play. And I don't understand why you would do that as an organization, because you're just putting the organization on hold for a whole year.
Well, I'll answer this. One, you got to consider who did it, right? It's the Brooklyn Nets.
Mm-hmm.
What success have they ever had for real?
True. They ain't had success since, Jason Kidd?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so now you're considering who they're
And
signing.
that team got swept by the Lakers, so...
Yeah.
So, and then you're considering who they're signing, right? They're signing KD, one of the most dynamic players in NBA history.
But will he be when he comes back?
That's yet to be seen.
Right.
But it's a reason they gave it to KD, and guys like Isaiah Thomas or DeMarcus Cousins come back for injury aren't getting that money. It's a reason that KD is getting it. It's because he's KD.
I mean, and I understand that, and I don't think that he's going to be, an average mid-tier player after the injury, but at the same time, with this Achilles injury we've been seeing, I mean, look at Eric Berry when he came back from that same Achilles injury.
Yeah, but you're talking about, it's basketball.
I mean, yeah, it's different. But at the same time, I think that makes it even worse.
Because
in basketball, I mean, you're using your legs a lot more. You're cutting. And, with KD especially, I mean,
But he can afford to be more stationary.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because at that point, like, all right, he won't just be, the same Durant we know, but him just shooting. Yeah, like him shooting alone. There's the reason why we call him the easy money sniper. You know what I'm saying? He at least gonna give you 20 just off just putting up shots.
Yeah, that's just elite shooting.
That's just
not
shooting.
even. And here's the thing that people aren't looking at: with him not being able to move as well, his post up game is about to be vicious.
Exactly.
Like
he's a true 7-footer.
Yeah,
He's a true 7-footer.
that post up game about to be ridiculous.
Exactly. So
And you have Kyrie coming there to kind of salvage this season. They're not going to win anything, but at least they're going to be competitive. You signed DeAndre Jordan, so they'll be competitive. You still got a lot of the key role players that you had.
Do you think that it would be smart for Durant to try to put on like as much weight as he can?
Nah.
no.
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 Nah, just
no.
because of the injury. I mean, you don't
That-
want to put injury onto
Exactly. And
I feel that.
that. I mean, you
but
don't want to put pounds onto that.
Right,
Okay.
right. And I'm not necessarily meaning like blow up, but put some muscle on. You know what I'm saying? Like put some more muscle
at
on.
this point, nah,
Yeah.
just wait till
Right.
wait
You've
till
been
we
in
get
the league
old,
over
wait till we
10
get
years.
old man KD. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
all
saying?
right, all right. Fair
Been in the
enough,
league
fair
10
enough.
years.
When we know he on his way out, he put on the beer gut. Fuck
Yup.
it, fuck it. I'm all for it at that point. Fat
But see,
KD.
I'm not talking about like a beer gut. I'm just talking about like put on some muscle mass, just for the simple fact of like you're talking about that post game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It
nah,
would help him.
Even then, though, I mean,
He's
he's been in the
strangely
league 10
strong.
years.
That's the
That's
weird
true.
part.
If you were going to do it, you should have already done
He
it.
should have been
Yeah,
done it. Yeah,
yeah.
that should have been done like 3 years ago. But
Is
like,
how old is he now? He's been in the league for a while.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's 30, ain't he?
Yeah, he about 30.
Hey, a lot of people forgot he played for the Seattle Supersonics.
Yes.
Facts.
yes.
And one thing I left out about the 76ers, they also acquired Al Horford.
Right.
They did.
So big. I wouldn't pay him all that money, but
Hell
I
no.
think he'll be a great piece for the 76ers. Great interior passing with Joel Embiid.
I mean, he'll help if Embiid gets hurt again.
That too.
Yeah.
That too. That shores that
Yeah.
up too for sure. Warriors got D'Lo.
Yeah.
I'm confused about the move a little bit, but I think D'Lo can come in there and do a fairly decent job.
Oh, yeah.
Solid job.
They're just gonna ask him to score. This season for them to me is just all about entertainment because
Are they gonna put all of them on the floor, like at the same time?
they can run it.
Well, they don't have anybody like Klay Thompson hurt.
Right. Well, you're
Clay's
right.
hurt. Yeah.
But Clay will probably be back at some
And
point
Iggy's
during the
gone.
season.
Yeah, Iggy's gone. So
Clay, I really hope they let him just rest this entire season. Just let it.
Clay.
but
yeah.
they've been talking about bringing him back like February or March or something. But yeah, like Ray said, I hope they, let him rest.
Yeah, let him rest.
You guys already got 3 rings.
For real, this season's a
Yeah.
wash. You basically just paid those guys for the rings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just let it go. Try again next year. You know what I'm saying? Like not next year, but like the season after next. Like
Yeah.
And I honestly think D'Angelo Russell is just trade asset. You know,
that's all the buzz I've been hearing.
Yeah.
Basically, like they're just gonna he's a rental this year for them.
yep.
They're gonna use him for this year and then ship him out somewhere else for.
And basic case scenario, I mean, he doesn't. If he performs, his contract isn't too ridiculous.
No.
You know, if he's averaging north of 20 points a game, so that's somebody easily trade for that.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm not gonna lie. Even though I did expect them to win the NBA Finals, I'm kind of glad they lost because they did the city of Oakland a disservice, man.
About moving the team,
Yeah,
because they moved
yeah.
to what, San Francisco?
yeah, they moved across the bay.
Yeah.
That's that bullshit.
Yeah,
Everybody's trying to leave Oakland, and I'm not feeling it, bro. I'm not for it. The A's are trying to leave. Oakland, the Raiders fucking left again. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, shit. At the same time, though, Oakland ain't trying to do nothing for their teams.
Oakland is broke. They need them. Oakland is broke.
Well, if you can't keep the team, though, I mean, the A's, I get 110%. I would have been gone fucking 10 years ago if I
Yeah,
was
they
the
haven't
A's.
done anything for
They
Or
literally
A's.
don't have a fucking baseball stadium. They play at a football stadium. Like, I get it.
It's been
At
that
least
way
shell
since-
out the fucking money for the Raiders, man. At least shell out the money for a stadium for the Raiders. I get that shit too. I mean,
But I will say this though: a lot of times with these owners, they don't try to pay their part. They expect the city to foot
You
the
are
bill.
right.
That's the bullshit.
you are right.
That's
You
what
are
gets
very
me.
correct.
Put up something on it. Put
Yeah.
something on it. I'm tired.
I mean, and that's
I mean,
you know,
like,
it's a two-way thing, yeah.
Exactly, it's a nuanced conversation.
Yeah.
You know, I'm making it real black and white, but
Yeah.
there is a lot of gray area with it.
so going kind of back to basketball. Something unrelated to free agency, but something I thought was interesting. An article we posted on Twitter is that Zion Williamson is considering signing with Puma over Nike. And I thought that was just really interesting because I mean, is anyone in the NBA signed to Puma? Puma's not.
Some like lower level guys, but
Word.
to me, that's if he becomes as good as we expect him to. It's like a Steph Curry-esque move. You know what I'm saying? Like he will be the guy for Puma.
And what's crazy to me is something I was listening to on the radio not too long ago, about a week ago. They were talking about where Zion Williamson is going to sign, and they said that it's going to like affect the stock market or the the stock market though, and the fact that they were saying Nike might have, if he signs with Nike might go up like historical levels, like recent trends. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Which is, it's kind of crazy to me. Just, you know, a basketball player just signing with.
It's an insane amount of hype around the dude, man. We really haven't seen a level of hype like this literally since LeBron.
That's very true. And basically, the stock that Nike lost with the shoe blowout incident, they said more than likely it will get all of that back plus double that.
Yeah. Come on now. Plus, worst part is, low-key, that was like a drop in the bucket for them.
But
everybody's still gonna put on the Nikes, bro.
That's very true.
That is a well-established brand.
Yeah, shit, that would have been the time to buy on Nike when it went down like that.
God damn right.
Another move we didn't address was the Mike Conley trade
he went to the Jazz, right?
Yep, went to the Jazz.
Ooh.
And the Jazz drafted Ja Morant.
Hey, quick question.
Or not the Jazz, but the Memphis Grizzlies drafted.
Where did they ship off Favors to?
Favors went to the Warriors, I believe.
Did he?
Interesting.
I think.
Oh,
I think he went to the Warriors.
Okay, never mind.
Also, Harrison Barnes.
Got paid.
Again.
Got paid. Hey, bro. I don't know if I want his career or if I want Joe Johnson's.
Fuck all that. I want Bobby Bonilla.
We ain't talking baseball, dog.
My man's still getting paid. Ain't played in 10 years.
What, he's supposed to get paid for like another 10 to like 2029 or something silly?
Yeah, something stupid like that. The Bobby Bonilla deal, man. Give me that agent.
Elite.
Shit, I'm definitely taking Joe Johnson's career. Joe Johnson.
I don't know, man. Cause same with Harrison Barnes, bro. Cause it made at least $200 million just off NBA money.
That's facts.
Yeah. $200 million.
But Joe Johnson was actually seen as a better player, though. He was still elite.
True.
Seen as an elite player.
Hey, Joe Johnson on that
money.
Phoenix team? That just made me think of NBA Live back in the day, running with that team, bro. Amari, Steve Nash, Joe Johnson. He had that high flyer ability, dunking all over everybody.
Yeah, damn, I forgot.
Bro.
Favors went to the Pelicans. My bad.
Yeah, I don't think he went
Pelicans.
to the Warriors.
My bad.
Damn. I don't know, bro. It's just wide open. Why didn't the Suns go after anybody, like, important?
Nobody wants to go there.
They got Rubio.
Yeah.
Hey, man. They need a point guard. He's solid.
Yeah. It sucks for them because they just constantly want their picks to, like, you know, develop well, and then.
I mean, they have two of the top youngest assets to gain in the NBA with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. I mean, they're both great players, but I mean, they're just in a system that's terrible.
Yeah. I think lastly is the latest big move, which is Russell Westbrook to the Houston Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Paul to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Which he'll be traded on. He won't play, I'm assuming, right?
Nobody wants that contract.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that contract.
Fucking albatross.
You know, they were saying he might have to buy out of it, but he's not going to leave. In order to buy out of it, you have to leave a lot of money on the table in order to get that buyout for that contract. So, from what I heard, he's looking to actually just play with them. Play with the Oklahoma City Thunder. As far as the outlook for the Houston Rockets, man, I think it's an upgrade. Russ is consistent, I would say. I mean, his play is inconsistent, but you know he's going to play.
Yeah.
And that's something that they didn't have in Chris Paul. Chris Paul, great player, just was not healthy. Mm-hmm. You bring somebody in explosive like Russell Westbrook, they're going to play faster, and that should be exciting. And as long as, you know, Russ knows that Harden needs to close the game, I think they'll be better off. And I think you'll see a little bit of maturity from Russ, just for the simple fact that Russ and Harden respect each other and they have a history. Mm-hmm. So,
And talk about 30 for 30s, like you were saying about Kawhi earlier. I want to see that 30 for 30 on Oklahoma City Thunder because at this point now the Houston Rockets cashed in on they draft picks on Oklahoma draft picks.
What if I told you there was a team that fumbled 3 of the best NBA players of all
3
time?
Hall of Famers.
Man,
Yeah, 3 Hall of Famers.
They fumbled it.
Yup, fumbled it.
All they had to do. I still
And not to
think
mention, Serge got a ring now too.
Yep. All I think about is that trade what they did with the Rockets to for Harden, right?
yeah.
All Harden wanted was a starting job and like $10 million more.
Yeah, because Harden was the 6th man down over there at that
Yeah,
time. Yeah,
bro, because they was trying to pay him like $60 million or something like that for like 4 years. All he wanted was like $70 million and a guaranteed starting
If
spot.
I'm not mistaken, they had Cephalosha starting over him, didn't they?
Yep.
The fuck were
Like,
they thinking?
think about how frustrating that is when you know you're just sitting on a whole bunch of talent.
Yeah.
That had to be just crazy.
Because that lineup, man,
Nasty.
nasty.
But I will say this is young and reckless Russ.
That's true.
But
Young KD, young Harden. I mean, all of them are young.
Nope.
You got Serge Ibaka, Kendrick Perkins.
and that's the thing though, I'll say is that that'll be forever the big knock on KD is that as good as he is, he's literally like leagues above almost everybody on the court. He does not have that alpha dog mentality. Like
Yeah.
he can't lead the people. Like
Yeah.
you need him to be the quarterback, and he's not it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He's a star receiver.
Yeah, man, and it sucks because like he's that fucking good, and I know I'm like making assumptions about his character, but I'm just going off what I see. Like we know you're the guy. We need you to be the guy, and he's not gonna be the guy. But once the credit, like he was the guy. That's
Yeah.
the shitty part.
Yeah.
Well, the bummer part of it is when he came out in that game of the finals, guns hot. I mean, I don't think he hardly missed a shot before he got hurt, didn't he?
Well, he has to go to the Warriors in order to start flexing his muscles.
Yeah.
That's the
but-
thing that I was
yeah.
just like, bruh, really?
Because he knows he's got it around him.
Yeah.
But fuck, man, imagine if the Thunder team, they still drafted Steven Adams, too. Imagine that lineup.
Steven Adams and having anus cancer on that team too. That's a championship squad.
James Harden, Russ, and KD.
Have fun beating that. Have fun.
Exactly.
So kind of switching gears, guys. I got a question. Am I racist? Background. So, I was having a conversation with someone I'm cool with, white woman, and I asked her, what's your guilty pleasure as far as men is concerned? Like somebody, a type you kind of want to mess with or you mess with, right? But you wouldn't marry, you wouldn't pursue a serious relationship. In typical white girl fashion, she said the tall, black athlete, good dick.
BBC.
Yeah, BBC. Apparently she wants to get black. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. In typical nigga fashion, I said a white girl with a fat ass. I said, I'm not trying to really marry a white girl, but, or I don't think I said I'd never marry a white girl, but in occasion I'd mess with a white girl with a fat ass.
I don't think that makes you racist, cause.
So she was like,
Okay.
oh, you're racist. I mean, you wouldn't marry a white, that's racist. No, bitch, it's preferences. It's
Preferences. I don't know. Like that's the whole thing.
But did she not say the same thing? Like, just
flip
flipped?
the table.
But she didn't say I'd never marry
Oh, okay,
a black guy.
Gotcha.
Just because she didn't say it, but I feel like that was implied. You know what I'm saying? Like
You
that's
would think, but
that's
just-
her guilty pleasure, right?
Yeah, you would think, but I think she probably would.
She probably would, but I'll still say it doesn't make you racist because it's not like you're looking down on them. You're
Right.
not talking down on them. You're not, saying generalizing statements that are hurtful. You know what I'm saying? If anything, it would be more of a prejudice.
Maybe it could be.
Possibly, like you know what I'm saying. Like if you wanted to stigmatize it like that, it'd be more of a prejudice. But it's
Right.
still more of a preference.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
what I'm thinking.
And plus, like, there's a lot of differences between you and said white girl because, like, she comes from a middle class, Midwestern, suburban white family. There's not a lot y'all got in common. You know what I mean? Like, culturally speaking. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's gonna be some fundamental things.
That's what I'm thinking, because I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking not no white woman, but very few white women I can build a bond within a relationship, and we just benefit off of each other.
Because I feel like there's gonna be some like political ideology clashing, socioeconomic ideology clashing. Like there's just gonna be like some things that like who make you at the core, y'all are really gonna differ on. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys can have fun and relationship and like the early part, the honeymoon stage. But like when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, like
Right. And I'm not saying like there's nothing wrong with interracial dating, right?
I'm kidding.
There's nothing wrong with it. Like if you a black dude, you want a white woman want a black dude, or however it goes, whatever race, man. I don't see a problem with interracial dating. I just think individually for me, man, I need somebody that can teach my kids, or parent my kids through what they're gonna go through being a black kid, being a black person. A white woman can't teach my kids how to be black, or not how to be black, but how to maneuver through this world being a black person. They just can't. I need somebody that can do that. I feel like the person that's gonna get me the most is a black woman.
He meant that first part.
No, it wasn't a Freudian slip. It was not a Freudian slip.
Randy loves white women.
Kobe. No, but what's your take on that, Levi? What's your take, EDJ?
I mean, I feel what you're saying there. I mean, because at that point, that's on you. You know what I mean?
Word.
Because, yeah, what's she gonna know about what it's like to be a young black man or woman in America?
Word.
But I think that I feel that I don't think it's racist. If anything, like Ray was saying, maybe a prejudice, but still, I don't see that. I think it's just preference at the end of the day, and I think that that's the fact that you know that. I think that says something about you. Like you understand that already, and if you're going into a relationship with understanding things like that, that's gonna help lead to something that you find successful in a relationship. I think at the end of the day, so yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's just a preference thing, and yeah, I feel you. I wouldn't marry no white woman either.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, Jesus.
Hold on, that is interesting. How many white women have you dated?
One. And she
Right.
claimed she was Mexican.
Oh.
That boy didn't date a white girl. He dated a waiter.
Also, too, like, you gonna have to do all the cooking.
Oh,
shit.
Oh, shit.
I need somebody that know what seasoning is.
Hey, bro, she'll make the shit out of a pot for you, though.
Man, I mean, yeah, you right. But
Which one you want? You want savory food? You want sweet? Brady wants sweet.
Hella casseroles, my nigga. Hella casseroles.
all right. Let's reel it in.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's what you want, right? I mean, it's all about what you want. I think you'd be I feel you on that one. I think you want who understands your whole life in general more than somebody who doesn't. And that just makes sense. I think you'd be surprised, though, about how many, there's a lot of, no offense, there's a lot of, and that's going to get in trouble anyway, there's a lot of white females that will easily to conform to feel like they understand where you're coming from. And I think that's where a lot of our trouble
That's facts, EDJ.
Yeah.
No, that's big facts.
It is. I mean, we've run into a lot of that lately. It's just not real. I mean, I think there's a lot of white people that feel guilty and will pretend to feel guilty, we'll put it that way, and, just try to do things that aren't real. I mean, it's just, you don't need to feel guilty about it. What happened, but you weren't a part of that. What you are a part of is what you're a part of now. So
I want them to feel guilty.
I know you do, but be a part of what
Apologize to me.
When I say slavery, you say sorry.
Slavery.
Sorry. I mean, you are absolutely right though. Like, none of us was a part of that, but at the same time, like I saw a meme that put it beautifully. I may not have been a part of that, but I'm also reaping the reward from it. You know, and I think that just of white privilege in general. You know, I mean, we're already there. Might as well.
Hey,
Pop that one.
question
up.
though.
Yes, sir.
Because of the background that you grew up in, not the most fortunate financial, cases. Do you feel like you've, reaped the rewards of white privilege for real?
To a point. Okay.
Because that's got to be conflicting for
right.
you when people say that.
I will say because, like my grandmother, like they grew up in a house, didn't have shit, nothing in the middle of nowhere. So I think to a point, like, yes, just for the simple fact of growing up in Kansas City as a young man, my skin is white, and pretty much most of the people I kick it with is not. So if I'm by myself and I get pulled over, I have a much different reaction with, or interaction with police than I've ever had having a friend in the car. And so that I see that. You can see that. That's night and day. But at the same time, I also do feel like I definitely have a upbringing of just like understanding the life of not coming up from much or anything. And honestly, if you're a poor white person in America, I mean, you're still at the bottom of the totem pole. Maybe a little bit further up, but you're still at the bottom. So, and I think a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people don't get that, especially where I'm from. Like, they don't get that shit, And definitely a lot of Trump supporters that.
Oh Jesus.
Hey, Trump ain't coming to help you. Like, he coming to help the middle to upper class white folks.
Hey, to kind of go back just a little bit. Speaking of like relationships, what are like fundamental questions you should ask? Because like I was just hearing someone talk about this, and how I was telling Randy, political ideologies may differ. That could differ from somebody that's the same color as you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
They may differ on abortion or states' rights or marijuana legalization, whatever, what have you, right? Do you feel like these conversations should be had early, or should they? But that's the whole thing. I feel like that's being very idealistic when you want to have them early. Because
I think it's an in-between conversation. It's you get your initial dating out of the way, and you start kind of like, you start having feelings for that person, and you start going deeper into, all of a sudden you're hanging out with them a lot, you're constantly messaging.
But it's
I think it's time. I was just going to say, I think it's time to start getting into maybe a little bit of stuff like that, but kind of ease your way into it, because I don't know.
It's important that when you're having a talking stage, you guys actually talk.
Mm-hmm.
I think that gets overlooked. A lot of people go into the talking stage, and it's really just this honeymoon stage that nobody's really looking to dig into one another and really, find out if that's really the one for you.
Yeah, who that person is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's very true. And I think you gain that with age, though, too. Because, I mean, when you're younger, you're not really worried about who they like. I mean, you're just worried about them liking you. So I think a lot of it has to do with just getting older and learning about, who they are as a person. Because when you're out there and when you date, I'm just going to tell you, I mean, people who aren't from Kansas City, the girls here who have been single for a while, they're single for a reason. Just so you know. Before I met my wife to be, there was one young lady who would tell me all the time that she was going to cut herself. Never saw any of that, but that's the level she would stoop just to get attention. I mean, trust me, there are girls that are single. They're single for a reason, but there are some girls and guys. Hold on, there are some guys that are single for a reason too. But if you're single for a reason, you're single for a reason.
Get them.
And I think people need to realize that, though. Yeah. I'm being serious, though. People need to realize that.
Get them.
I'm about to smack you outside the face. People are single for a reason, though. And, I mean, you have to think about that. You can't just jump into a relationship because that person's single, too.
Word.
That wasn't a slam on anybody, but it's true. I mean, you can't just jump into a relationship because, that person's single, I'm single, I'm going to get in a relationship with the person. That person could be terrible for you. You have no idea. So just be smart and don't go out there and just start dating someone just because it's easy. That's not the point.
And
Unless
people,
you want it that way.
I think people are so quick to jump into a relationship because they just want that, someone else to be there for them all the time. And, it's perfect like what you said,
And they
like,
don't
you never
value
know.
themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and a big thing, what I was going to say to what EDJ was saying was, not only just learning about that other person, you get older and, you realize you need to start learning about the other person. When you get older, you need to realize you need to start learning who you are. You know what I mean?
Facts.
And I think that, I'm 25 years old and I still don't think that I know 100% who I am. Like, I'm still learning, like, not necessarily I don't know who I am, but, I'm still learning things about myself. Maybe I don't like this or, But it's that's the biggest part of it, I think, is learning about yourself and learning what you really like. And, you may not know that. A lot of people think they do and don't.
Sure don't.
Thank you for tuning in to the Showbank Show. Hope you enjoyed a couple of our new segments this week. Hit us up on Instagram and Twitter to let us know what you want to hear next on the Showbank Show. And we'll see you next time. We're out of here.
Showbanks out!